okay, but
we're just one mic short.
Excellent, how are you?
good, very well. We can have a little conversation.
It's okay, we're getting the other mic out here in a second, but this is a third time Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp for you guys. We're excited to have you guys back. You excited?
Excited to be back, man.
Yeah, we've been incredibly... Hello! Yeah. We've been incredibly bored because Rob's making a Priest record for almost a year.
Yep.
It's almost done.
But we wanted to come out again. We wanted to come out again and take part in this great organisation.
This mic is behaving like my brain.
Do take this one. Going on and going out.
You want this one?
That would. Well, yes. So yeah, this is the third time.
We had mic problems yesterday too.
So we're delighted to be back, and thank you all for coming. It's going to be great. And who's been here before with us? I see some familiar faces. That's brilliant, and all our new friends. It really is a fantastic deal at the Fantasy Camp. We know it's more than the music, as we've said time and time again. That this is an event where you come into each other's lives for the first time, and you remain friends. You know, it's part of that whole metal community experience that we love so much as our big metal family. So it's going to be great, and thanks for inviting us back. And
Trade off a little bit. So I want to go ahead and start. I'll talk with you guys for a couple minutes, and then we'll open it up. But was music the only goal for you guys from the beginning? Was that what you guys were going to do? No doubt from childhood.
For me personally, yeah.
Yeah.
It still is really. I can't imagine really anything that comes close. You're probably the same. That's why everyone's here. You know what I mean? It's such a thing that, as Rob said, connects us, and we grew up with it. It's in our blood. And I don't think you die like that, you know what I mean? That you take that to your grave. I don't think that ever goes from you. So, I mean, and obviously the band's been doing it for 40 plus years now. So, as long as I've been alive, listening to Priest, that's been what I've wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you're the same as well, dude. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and it's such an honour because we've said, and we always will say, we can't do what we do without you guys. You know, you're our life support. I mean, when you're in a band. It's the best feeling in the world because you're actually able to bring out into the world of music things that you care deeply about internally and in the creative process. So, it's one thing to be able to do that, but it's just an incredible honour to have the support and love and friendship of all of our Priest fans around the world that really do motivate us. What album is this now? Is this number 18?
18, I think. Wow.
So that's we were saying yesterday. It's a little bit of a curse because you wake up in the middle of the night composing music. It's crazy. I was laying in my bed the other day in Hollywood, and I'm going, what is this song about here? And I had to put it down on my iPhone. Richie was in Miami having battles with Burma.
Yes.
He beat Burma. And we were texting each other ideas over the phone, like little snippets of melodies and whatever it might be. So all of that is part of the great life of being a professional musician. And it doesn't really matter in terms of proficiency as far as how big your band is or where you go or the size of the venue or whatever. It's the greatest feeling in the world to be in a band, as you'll experience and have experienced so far with Rock Camp. It's just a very special thing to do.
Now I'd imagine you were singing your entire life, but how do you kind of discover you've got this real powerhouse voice inside of you?
Well, much like Richie, I'm sure Richie started with his heroes, listening to certain performers, and so you take that inspiration, and so from my side of things, I've always said that I've always had a very open-minded feeling towards not blocking things off, so my heart and soul has always been with the heavy metal performance of singing. However, I can listen to people like Michael Bublé or Willie Nelson or Pavarotti and just study them, and then for all singers, I say to singers, it's great to have your favourite singer and to kind of be inspired by them, but don't focus in one spot, because the human voice is a remarkable instrument, and you're probably not aware of what you can do until you try all of the other vocal gymnastics, as we call it. So for me, much like Ritchie when I started, it was just experimentation and trying to avoid the process of repetition, you know, and I think that's pretty much what we've done with Priest as a band over the years. If you look at our vast back catalogue of material, you know, we can jump from Painkiller to Turbo Lover to The Sentinel to The Sinner to Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight, Stained Class. You know, it's like hundreds and hundreds of metal songs, and I think that's all of us in the band have had that same open-minded attitude to be creative and to try and do things that we may have not done yet, as you'll hear on the new Priest album.
I can't wait. I think we can all agree Redeemer of Souls was a fantastic album. That's the first album you came in for, and you wrote on the album. Now, a lot of the time we see bands, you know, they get a new guitar player, they don't let that guitar player write on the album. Was there any discussion about this before? You know, how did it actually come up to your into place writing with the band now?
Can you hear me without a mic? Probably not, right? Obviously not. Well, it was clear from the beginning. It was, you're in the band, you know. I mean, other bands, maybe they don't do that, they've got a formula that works and they keep it like that. And it was, I mean, Priest has always been the two guitar player, singer, writing team, you know, and kept it the same. And it's always been inclusive from day one. What ideas have you got? Set list ideas, what you want to wear, you know. So bringing in someone as part of the band, you know what I mean? And the writing was no different. So I think I was putting down some stuff on the road, I think Rob, wasn't I? Like I took a little rig out on the road and I was putting ideas down. So I think Rob would, you know, go past the dressing room, you know, what's that? And so it started kind of on the road for me, putting ideas down. And as Rob said, it's kind of such an open, free, like there's no rules, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Put it down, if it's good, we'll go with it. And it's kind of like that again this time.
Right.
First album for me, obviously, I'm happy to be there. This one's a bit more, like the first one, okay, the new guy, he can hang, you know what I mean? The album's good, new guy's okay. Now this one's feels a bit more serious for me, you know, second time in. But again, it's that open, inclusive atmosphere that's been in the band since I've joined it, you know what I mean? So it's a huge lesson to learn, you know what I mean? When you join something like that, and it could be totally different.
Right.
You can imagine some bands that aren't like that, you know, for good reason, but getting into a band of your heroes and they turn out to be even bigger heroes, it's such an education, man, on how to do things properly, you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you both one more question myself, and then turn it over to everyone. Rob, how did Ritchie kind of first come up on your radar?
We just began the search, like you do in any band when you're looking for someone to get in the family, and the clock was ticking because we already had a tour planned out. So did we find you on YouTube, Richard? Or was it something similar to that?
I think that was part of it. I had some stuff on there. It was a friend of a friend.
You know me and the internet. I love it one day and then I just want to destroy it the next. It's a double-edged sword. But we were given links to Ritchie, and then I think Glenn and I immediately, within minutes, you can sense, when you've been doing what we've been doing for so long, you can sense pretty much right away that there's something very special coming out of the speakers. And then, of course, the fun side of the story is that we tried to reach Ritchie through email, and we're saying, hi, we're Judas Priest and we would like to have a meeting and talk with you. And he was getting these emails, just pressing delete. It's a joke, somebody's winding me up. And eventually somebody got in touch and said, no, they really want to see you. So we came up to Glenn's house, and right from the get-go we connected. That's another thing, because it's not only being, you know, on stage with each other, you've got to find some kind of personal balance with each other. And a band is like a family, and sometimes you have a little bit of friction. That's very normal, that's very human, it's healthy. But we really haven't done anything like that, have we, Richie? There's just a tremendous amount of respect and caring for each other. And I think when you're in that environment, great things grow from it. Creative friction, positive creative friction is a really useful thing to have. So that's how we hooked up with the Falcon.
So Richie, you joined the band.
Yes, sir.
Your first show, American Idol. Millions of people watching on TV, thousands of people in the audience. It's a lot of pressure to take for your first show at Judas Priest, isn't it?
It's an interesting question. A lot of people will ask me that, and you block it out.
Right.
It's if you let that stuff get in the way, you'd never do it. If you think about the reality of that situation, I think it was 30 million in the States alone. I think it was going out to. So if you think about that, you're gonna chicken out, man. You're not gonna get out there and do it. So it was almost like you're focusing so much on what you've got to do. You just go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? Luckily, there was only 5,000–6,000 people in the room, so you didn't see the 30 million out there staring at you. You know? It's like a new guy with the shades on inside. You know? Again. But yeah, man. After the fact, you kind of consider the reality of that situation, and it is pretty daunting. But as the first show, you know, outside of American Idol, it's the same thing. You just kind of get up there. You know the duty. You know what it means to so many people around the world. And you just get up there and fucking do it, you know what I mean? And that's it, and I'm still here. So hopefully it was the right thing to do, you know.
I've got one more follow-up question, then I'm going to turn it over. So obviously that's your first show with Judas Priest on American Idol, but there's tons of American Idol fans watching, not necessarily Judas Priest fans. You know, what's scarier, your first show in front of all Judas Priest fans or your first show in general?
It's a fantastic question. It's a great question. Both scenarios had great, you know, value because it was the first show with a new guitar player, and it was. American Idol isn't a metal show,
right?
But Priest to me has always been about getting metal out there to people that don't know it and flying the flag for metal, and it was a great opportunity to do that. So with that comes a lot of gravitas. Like I don't know what the word is. It means a lot, and also obviously the first show with Priest, they're all looking at you.
Right.
Because they're the dedicated fans that have been there for 40 years, you know. So I think they both had, and still continues to have, we still do shows around the world where we haven't played before. I think we played New Zealand on the last tour that I don't think the band's ever played with. And some shows where we have played, but the fans might not have seen me in the band. So it's always, you've got a healthy point to prove, you know what I mean? There's always people that haven't seen you before. So it always continues to carry that value and that worth to people. You can't really take it for granted, like, oh, I'm here now, it's fine. You've always got to be 110%, you know, wherever you go. There's always someone out there that hasn't seen you, or, you know, so that value continues to this day. It's a great question.
Thank you. Well, let's turn it on over to you guys. Let's get some hands up. I know we all got questions for these guys. Yeah, let's go, Kevin.
Two-part question. How many Harleys do you have, and does Richie have a Harley yet?
I've only got the one. I did have a bunch, but, you know, as you get older, I'm like, well, I don't need all this stuff. It's just stuff. I'm trying to simplify my life. Loads of rings and wristbands and stuff. But I just had an email yesterday from our sound guy, Martin Walker. The stage bike, which is the original 1981 Wild Rider that Harley Davidson sold to us for $1. I'll buy that for $1. And so that hasn't been running properly for the last few tours because we just bring it out on the road and the metal magic happens. But now it's fully operational again. It was slightly injured. They took the keys off me many years ago because I was riding around some arena in Dallas and I ended up in a ditch. He's going to kill himself, take the keys away from me. And that was the last time I actually rode that side of the street. But now I'm getting the buzz again. I said to Martin, yeah, can we, you know when bands do these meet and greets type of thing? I said, well, I want to do like meet and greets on Rob and the Harley, and I'll just take it for a ride around the venue. Yeah! Yeah, that's a great idea. It's really going to happen, Rob. But yeah, so just the one. And Richie has yet to...
I don't have a license at all. Never driven. I'm fighting it. I want to wait until they start inventing driverless cars. But I don't have a license, so no bike.
You could get a scooter.
I don't think they'd even let me drive that. No.
Yeah.
So, my first guitar teacher can remember the exact Carlos Santana note that he knew he was going to play guitar by hearing that. I can remember the moment I knew I wanted to play guitar. Do you guys, can you remember the exact either moment or maybe instance back in your lives when you said, that's what I want to do? I'm sorry if it's a loaded question.
I can pinpoint kind of. It was a VCR tape, and it was Jimmy Plays Monterey.
Okay.
And at the beginning of the concert, there was some footage and some shows around, you know. And I think it was that. I mean, first of all, if anyone sees that, who doesn't want to do that? I mean, you know what I mean? But just to actually do it and to take it to the next level, I think it was Hendrix. Just the visual, the sound, and when you're a kid, you don't know what that is. It's just something that you're turned on to musically. So it was definitely that video at least. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe 7 or 8. You know.
Yeah.
But you were.
Well, you know, we can all sing, can't we? Everybody in this room can sing, and that's the joy of being. That's the joy. But I mean, that's the joy of being a singer, and you can sing wherever you want, and it's always given me tremendous pleasure, and so I was eagerly waiting the opportunity to get in any band originally. I was in several amateur bands before I got the gig with Priest. But again, just from a little kid growing up, listening to the radio and getting my first records and hearing Elvis and Little Richard and Bill Haley, and then, you know, the old blues giants like Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, their vocal style, B.B. King, and then, you know, going into rock and metal with people like Plant and Roger Daltrey and Ian Gillan. Those guys really, and then the ladies, of course. You can't forget people like Janis Joplin, Grace Slick, all these wonderful female performers in rock. It's all part of the inspiration, and we're all driven by somebody in music that have gotten us to the place that kind of kicked off the professional career.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Ritchie, you wear your influences on your sleeve, but at the same time you have a sound that's completely your own.
Thanks, man.
When recording, are you making a conscious effort to sort of compose these pieces, these solos, or are you more fly from the cuff and then kind of build from there? And both? How's it happen? What's the recording process for you, for the creating process for your solos?
Great question. It's usually a bit of both. Sometimes I'll go in and kind of, I've always been roll tape and see what comes out, you know. This record was a bit more conscious for me about, you know, maybe half the lead breaks and stuff like that were thought out, or what can I do here to be different. I find it's the hardest thing to have your own sound these days. You know, there's so many great players, singers, you know, so as a guitar player, having your own sound. And I always go back to people like Gilmour and, you know, Blackmore, and there's 2 more. But because it's about the notes, you know, and the older I get, the more I do, it's more about the notes, less about how many notes you're playing. So it definitely was a more conscious decision to do something that it wasn't Schenker, or it wasn't Zach, or it wasn't Murray, you know what I mean? It was kind of, and I think I'm only speaking for myself, but I think that's a constant, you're always looking for your own thing, and you're always growing, you're always changing as a player. So what can I put down where this represents where I am as a musician at the moment, you know what I mean? Rather than just going in there and reeling off some stolen licks, I mean, you know what I mean? So hopefully that comes across on the record when you hear it. Hopefully, you know, you pick out. I'm honoured, man, that you said there's my own thing in there, because I never hear it. I don't know if anyone else does. You never hear your own sound. I just hear, you know, Murray or whatever. But if there's something else in there that's coming out that people are picking up on, that's a huge honour, man. Thanks very much for that. Thanks, man.
They told us yesterday maybe March for the new album. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Ish. It's 99.99999 of a fraction finished, which is a good thing.
Yeah, back there.
Well, you know, while we're talking about the new album, I don't know if y'all can say the title or maybe a working title, but also.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible. That would just like take me out of this room and put me in a lock-up cell until it was time to release. But you can obviously sense there's tremendous excitement. very, very happy about the way this record has turned out. I will say 2 words or 3 words. It's fucking heavy. So,
Good.
whereas Redeemer was there, this is there. We've gone to 11. We've done that spinal tap thing. Fun enough, we had a spinal tap moment leaving the hotel. I got into an SUV. I did an Aussie. I just got out of the hotel, just jumped in the first SUV I was in. I'm just sitting there waiting for the rest of the guys, and they're over there getting in the rock camp. And the guy goes, "Where are we going?" I go, "Well, follow there." Somebody came over. You're not in this vehicle.
Can you imagine getting in your car and Rob Halford?
Rob, so I'd like to know, as a singer myself, what's in your iPod? What music are you listening to today? What artists or singing styles do you reference when you're working on your style?
Yeah, as Richie was saying, you never can stop learning as a musician. There's always something really cool and interesting to listen to. I mean, I've got my stock bands, obviously, Sabbath and Maiden and some White Snake, obviously some Zeppelin. Oh God, there's so many. Some Tool, some Rage Against the Machine, obviously some Slayer, some Redeemer, some Lamb of God, some August Burns Red, some Iced Earth. I've got tons and tons and tons. So depending on the mood, like you guys, you put on how you feeling, you know. But the landscape is great right now. It's probably stronger than it's ever been in terms of where to go and where to look and what to enjoy. You know.
I've often wondered if you studied opera, maybe.
Oh yeah, I've got some Pavarotti. I've always got, he's my hero in that world. And like I was saying earlier, I tried to do a bit of Halford and Nostradamus in the bit where I sang in very bad Italian. When I got to Italy, they're going, "You sang that wrong." I go, supposed to think like this. It's a joy. There's always room for experimentation when you're making records, even this far on in what we do. It's still such a great pleasure to go in the studio every day. Essentially start with nothing and then have the seeds of what potentially could be a great metal song.
Yeah, I want to follow up putting together a new album, so you're trying to tweak it, you're 99% there. All right, 18 albums, 4 years past. Is that what you're dealing with now? It's like I'm trying to get something new, I'm trying not to repeat. Do you struggle with that? With such a huge catalog. I mean, how do you come up with something new or fresh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are certain dynamics in metal that always need to be there. You've always got to have like the double kick drum attack it like a painkiller vibe, and then of course you've got the great groove that are living after midnight, and so there are. It's like food, and what I mean by that is, you know, you got your pork, you got your beef, you got your chicken, you know, you got. But really, there isn't enough food, is there? I'm getting really old now. I've got chicken again. I've got chicken again. So, but what I'm saying is, so there are certain things that you know you're going to experience when you're making a record. That's established. The real challenge is to make a song that is uniquely different from anything else that you've ever done. And the exciting thing about this new record, I think, is that there are definitely moments that are quite surprising in a great way. So yeah, we're probably even more intense with how we work now, because we have this trail of great metal behind us, and we're always internally referencing, going, that's a bit too close to album number 4 or whatever.
Quick follow-up on that, is that maybe because Ritchie being in the band, does that kind of breathe some kind of a new perspective?
Yes, definitely. I mean, that was important right from the get-go, that Ritchie has this great ability as not only a musician in terms of performing, but he's got tremendous writing skills as well. I mean, riff after riff after riff, you know, and chord sections, whatever it might be. They're all little catalysts of where the song is created from. So yeah, we're as mad as ever in the studio.
How's the writing process work in the band? Do you guys all get in a room together, or over internet, or what? How's it work?
It's both albums now. We kind of go away after the tour, and we all put down, as Rob said earlier on, you know, you get an idea and you put it down in your voice memo thing or whatever, and we all put down ideas, riffs at home. And so when it comes to the time where we're going to get together, me, Rob, and Glenn will go in and we'll get all the riffs out, the song ideas out. And you know, Rob might come in with a vocal melody or an idea. I've got exactly the thing that will go with that. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's so like relaxed. It's like us going, let's write a song. It's not. There's no ego. There's no, you know, nothing like that. It's just three buddies making music to hopefully the best they can do. You know, so it's really free and really relaxed. So yeah, we do a lot of it on our own, and then bring it together, put it all in the pot, and you know, hopefully a great album comes out.
And I'm sure it will. We're all on it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go over here.
Yeah. What is one of your hits that you will never ever get sick of playing, like over and over and over, like?
Well, there's a lot of them, isn't there? Really. We're noodling with set list ideas now, aren't we, Richie, for the tour, which starts. The tour is pretty much going to start the same moment that the album drops, which will be exciting. And so we're already kind of throwing emails back and forth to each other. And you know, you have a list of 100 songs, and you can't do 100 songs. Well, you could, you'd be on stage for a month. So you try again to create a set list that we know when you come to see us, you want to hear Breaking the Law, right? You want to hear Breaking the Law, you want to hear Living After Midnight. There are songs that's the lifeblood of the band are in certain musical moments. And it's tough because we don't want to disappoint you guys, and sometimes you go, oh God, we've got to do that fucking again, you know. But once you crank that song up, you know, it's like, oh, it just feels so great, and so we're trying to find the balance. You know, Living After Midnight, Breaking the Law, maybe Electric Eye again, and maybe Victim of Changes again.
Oh yeah.
But we've got all this new stuff. We're already consciously kind of digging back to some of the early stuff. You know, I would love to do Dying to Meet You from Rock and Roll. Thank you. You saw that reaction. You should have sent that to Glenn.
There's plenty of videos.
Because that really is insane, you know, it's absolutely insane. And how cool would that be to play something in 2018 that we put down in 1970?
Three.
God, was it that far ago?
It'd be really cool. First of all, I gotta tell you, it's so funny you brought that song up because as I've been practicing for this, that was on my short extra list.
It's a vision. It's a vision. It's a
I always
sign.
have to say that you're an invitation to come with us on our 2,000-mile motorcycle trip any summer you want.
Thank you.
But my question is, I've seen you 3 dozen times maybe in the United States. I've seen you a few times abroad, down in Brazil. What's it like, you know, the fans like down there who don't speak English but are singing all the words to the songs? I mean, and that late at night too.
It's just, yeah, it blows my mind because like you're in Brazil or you're in Japan and everybody knows the words, and yet when you meet each other, you can't say, you can't communicate. Oh, yeah, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. But yeah, it's fantastic. That's the universal appeal of what we do in Metal Together. Doesn't matter where you go, whatever stage. We've had the great joy and honour to apply literally everywhere around the world. All the stuff here that I would like to try and get to. And we've been to these places so often now. It is like coming home when you go back to Sao Paulo, or you go back to Chile, or you go back to Tokyo, or Rome, or Seattle, or London. You know, a lot of the venues you walk back in the building and you've been there for the last 20, 30, 40 years. So it's great, and much as we said today, when you walk in the room, you see some familiar faces from previous camps. It's the same on the road, you know. The real extreme hardcore Priest fans are right down the front, you know. 40 years later, they're still doing this. And
Yeah.
we know, we see you, you know. And so every place we play is extremely important to us. We never put a priority in one place more than another. It's just a very solid, you know, we're all in this together. We've got that unification and love of metal, and it's all good.
Richie, first, thank you for keeping the Priest flame alive, these years.
That's not me, man. They've been doing it for 40 years. It's nothing to do with me.
And Rob, your exploration of your heart and soul through the music and your unique God voice has inspired me myself for almost 40 years now. And
How many years?
almost 40.
How old are you?
That's you. So my daughter.
Just keep us young, doesn't it, the metal?
It does.
And so one of my big five for life is meeting you on this close. So what is your big five for life? Where you want to be in 5 or 10 years?
Well, everybody knows, I've said this a million times, you're going to have to drag me off that fucking stage.
Yeah.
I was reading what Ozzy was saying the other day in Loudwire, that, you know, he watched his dad work in his dad's capacity because it is work, what we do is work. And his dad worked hard all his life, and then he retired. And then, like, within a year, he passed away because, you know, work is great, it's great. I mean, you know, it's the motivation, I think it's why we're here, it's the motivation to have something to do when you get up in the morning. It doesn't matter what you do, it's just a beautiful thing to get the most out of life and to do anything that you possibly can. But with us, I mean, you know, I can't believe, you know, that 2019 is the 50th anniversary of Judas Priest. We'll be doing something to celebrate that. So it's a lot of things. It's a lot of what you do. Without a doubt, it's you guys. You are the catalyst that keeps us motivated. What else would we really want to do? Because you can't play music just for yourself. You know, you want to create the music and take it out to our wonderful fans, and we enjoy the moment together.
Do you intentionally write songs for live situations, or do you find when you write a certain song, it takes on its own life when you're performing in a live situation?
Yeah, they do become living things, don't they? And you do transform. I mean, as a singer, when I'm doing my messages, you know, I turn into the painkiller. I turn into, you know, breaking the law. You embody that feeling and you embody that character. And for those people that still don't understand metal, I don't think they can grasp that in terms of what we do. The sincerity in it, the believability in it, you know. So when you're creating songs, they do take on their own unique existence. And we were talking about that yesterday, weren't we, Richard? That they're like your little metal babies. I'm a gay guy with metal babies. So it's great, and you do. They come alive. They're these little beautiful things that you create, and we share them together.
It's true as well. It's definitely a conscious thing. We were talking about that yesterday as well, weren't we? That when we're writing the song, when we're putting it down, you'll say that they're going to love this live. You know what I mean? There's certain things which lend themselves, and it hits you straight away. You know this is going to be great live. The fans are going to love this live. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a conscious thing.
I was going to say, yeah, Rob, thank you for coming. We, you know, you've referenced the metal community a couple of times. You see a time ever when there'd be collaboration between maybe the British genre of metal and like Maiden, Priest, and Ozzy putting together a festival setting or something in the future?
Yeah, I mean, we on occasion we've had the opportunity to do that. I would love to see that kind of celebration. You know, you guys have the big four. You know, what's the big four? Metallica, Anthrax, and Slayer. So what would be your big four for the UK?
And I'd say
Priest, May, we'd have to get Sabbath back together again.
yeah.
God bless Lemmy if we'd still doing it. Definitely Martin. Saxon. Yeah, we need to get the promoters to kind of try and figure something out, you know. I don't know, something like that. Nothing's impossible. Absolutely nothing's impossible. So it's just getting the idea for the statistics of something like that to come together. It would be insane.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
You did a couple gigs fronting Sabbath, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a blast. We were talking just what we've been here about the time we did those shows together in Costa Mesa. That was just remarkable. And my heroes have always been Sabbath. You know. So we're from the same neighborhood.
This guy's been trying to get a question in for a while, so.
I've got a question for both of you, if you don't mind. And first, I'll let you know that Judas Priest has been my favorite band since I was 20 years old. I'm going on 57. So thank you so much for being here, and I can't tell you how wonderful this is. Rob, I've observed you change your stage presence numerous times through your career. And now with the help of the internet, it's even more easy to watch those changes happen. Was it ever a conscious decision, or is it something that just happens naturally and you're kind of just going with the flow, so to speak?
Yeah, one of my big heroes is Bowie. You know, the way Bowie would go into different places with his music and visually. So I like dressing up. I'm like a kid, you know. I had a fitting yesterday with Ray Brown while we were shooting some promo footage for the new album, and he brought all the stuff over and we were trying stuff on, you know. And so it's fun. It's fun to give yourself a different look, and more than anything for you guys to see something rather than a dude in a t-shirt and shorts. You know, there's nothing wrong with that because it's a big fight. But with Priest, I think it really is a celebration of everything that we love about metal, and that's part of something that I think is pretty unique to us. I like the metal clothes horse, you know, what he's going to wear next time. And I'm having a whiz bang made right now. You know, fireworks go whiz bang. I said to Ray, whack me a whiz bang. So he's putting something together with chainmail and another £100 of leather, like that. On the leather, because the better people will go, man.
Yeah. So, Rob, I just want to say thank you for coming back into the band when you did. That's my first thank you. And second thank you is for picking this guy to be your guitarist. You fucking rock. Thank you from all of us. I mean, the music's amazing, and we just know you're going to be going for so many years because of the life that you're breathing.
Thank you, brother.
Right back into
Appreciate
it.
it.
I love it.
Thanks, Tim.
Going back to your fashion, I love it. You don't look at my closet. Do you have all of your costumes made for you now, or do you still go shopping? I'd like to know. Like I went to.
This is from Walmart.
Yeah.
I love Walmart. Whenever a tour starts, most bands will say when the tour pulls out, right?
Yeah.
Got to stop at Walmart. Got to get the tour clothes in, you know, lounging around. And the chips on and the dip, and buy another kettle. You always have to buy a kettle. Yeah, we keep all that stuff. We've got a warehouse back in the UK full of everything from the Priest world, as we call it, from the clothing side of what we do, a lot of the gear as well. It would be great to maybe consider sometime doing like a little bit of a travelling museum type of deal, just to show you guys. Because when I get ready to do my side of the work, you know, they bring all the stuff out and I suddenly see something I wore like 20 years ago, which doesn't fit anymore. And, you know, it brings back all the memories. You know, that's the great thing about music in general, is that it all captures these memories. So what, like a question one of you guys just asked about certain songs that you have to include in your set. We're like time machines, aren't we? Because when we play Breaking the Law or Living After Midnight, suddenly we're all running back to 1980 or 1981. What were you doing then? And then all the memories come and you talk to each other at the show and a few drinks and there's a so-and-so's place or at a bar or on vacation or at work or in the car on the radio. That's the power of music that can never be underestimated in the value that it has in all of our lives. So yeah, it's all of these metal memories are really vital to kind of reference and to enjoy.
Well, we're running out of time, so let's just do one more question. Who's going to be our last one? Yeah, in the back.
Question for Ritchie, actually, so we're all on the same level. But for Ritchie, we're all woodshedding on these Priest songs, and when you got in the band, you were woodshedding on the Priest songs. Was there anything that was kind of like, what's Chicky doing, or you know, that you had to call him, or you just couldn't figure out? Is there anything that you played that you were like, I love that, I just love playing any things?
Without a doubt, like everything, like it's a total trip, you know what I mean? I mean, you grow up with that stuff, as Rob was saying. There's a moment that you heard Screaming for Vengeance for the first time, and although when you're not a player, so you don't know what goes into that sound, you know what I mean? But when you work it out and you're playing it night after night, it's just like, I don't know, I grew up on the band, grew up on Ken grew up on players like Hendrix, so there's a certain amount of improvisation that goes on there. So it's a bit of a license to move around. And again, I grew up on that style of guitar playing. So you put your own stamp on it, while incorporating some of the legendary stuff that is just a trip to throw in there, you know. And then obviously when you're doing new stuff that hasn't been created before, you've got to honour that tradition, you know what I mean? And be yourself and do something that's unique, and it's going to hopefully reach someone in the same way. I mean, you never know, but you know, something that's unique, you've got your own voice, like, you know, the groundwork that was put there for you, you know. But dude, saying again, like, how could you not love that stuff? You know what I mean? You go out and there's like stupid amounts of people playing the greatest songs on the earth, you know, and some of the greatest solos on the earth as well. It's just goosebump moments, you know what I mean?
Well, let's get to jamming.
Yeah!
Wait, can't wait.
Thank you, Bob.